The summons. Rhea Calder was dreaming of Earth's ocean when the pounding started. Not the gentle knock of a roommate, not the soft chime of a morning alarm. This was metal against metal. Hard, urgent, the kind of sound that meant trouble. Her eyes snapped open. The ceiling of her barracks glowed with dim blue light. Around her, 3 alien bunkmates remained asleep. Zessa's scales clicked softly with each breath. Torm's fur rose and fell in a steady rhythm. Only Rhea heard the pounding. She knew why. They had come for her. Human Cadet Rhea Calder. The voice outside her door was flat and cold. You are summoned. Immediately. Rhea sat up slowly. Her heart beat faster, but her face stayed calm. She had learned that trick on Earth. When the bombs fell and buildings burned, showing fear made things worse, so she learned to hide it. She pulled on her academy uniform, gray jacket, black boots. The fabric felt rough against her skin. Her hands did not shake as she fastened the buttons. Rhea, Zessa's voice came from the bottom bunk. The reptilian cadet lifted her head. Her yellow eyes were wide. What is happening? I don't know, Rhea said quietly. She did know. Everyone knew. There was only one reason guards came at Vory 300 hours. The discipline chamber. Don't go, Torm whispered from across the room, his ears pressed flat against his skull. My cousin went there once. He was never the same. Rhea tied her boots and stood. I'll be fine. No one is fine after, Zessa said, her tail wrapped tight around the bed frame. Instructor Vorak, he breaks people. The pounding came again, harder. Human, now! Rhea walked to the door. Her legs felt steady. That was good. She pressed the release button and stepped into the hallway. 2 guards waited outside. Both were Krellian, tall, 4 arms each. Gray armor covered their thick bodies. They did not speak. They simply turned and began walking. Rhea followed. The hallway stretched long and empty. Blue lights ran along the floor. Their footsteps echoed against metal walls. The guards stayed 3 paces ahead. They did not look back. Other cadets watched from doorways. Rhea saw their faces as she passed. Some looked curious. Others looked afraid. A few looked grateful. Grateful it was not them. Hey, human! A voice called from one of the rooms. Rhea glanced over. A large insectoid cadet stood in the doorway. His mandibles clicked together. I bet 20 credits you cry in the first 5 minutes. I bet 50 she screams, another voice added. Rhea kept walking. She said nothing. Words would not help now. They reached the lift at the end of the hall. The doors opened with a soft hiss. The guard stepped inside. Rhea followed. One guard pressed a button marked with symbols she could not read. The doors closed. The lift moved down. Down into the lower levels of the academy. The levels most cadets never saw. Why me? Rhea asked quietly. The guards did not answer. Maybe they could not. Maybe they were told not to. The lift slowed, stopped. The doors opened. Cold air rushed in. The hallway beyond was darker than the ones above. Red lights glowed along the walls instead of blue. The air smelled like metal and something else. Something sharp. Fear, maybe. They walked for 2 more minutes. Rhea counted her steps. 147. She focused on the number. It helped keep her mind steady. Finally, they stopped at a large door. It was made of black steel. No windows, no markings, just smooth, dark metal. One guard pressed his palm against a panel. The door slid open. Beyond was a massive chamber. The ceiling rose high above. Rows of seats climbed up the walls like in an arena. In the center of the floor sat a machine. It looked like a bed made of metal and wires. Restraints hung from its sides. Above it, lights pointed down in a circle. The discipline rack. Rhea had heard stories about it. Every cadet had. It was used for serious rule breakers, for traitors, for anyone the instructors wanted to make an example of. She had not broken any rules. This was something else. At the far end of the chamber stood Instructor Vorax. He was tall even for his species. His skin was gray like stone. Scars ran across his arms and neck. His eyes were colorless and cold. They watched her without blinking. Around the gallery above, other cadets were gathering. Rhea saw dozens of faces, different species, different colors, all watching, all waiting. Vorak's voice cut through the silence. It was deep and rough like grinding rocks. Human Cadet Rhea Calder, step forward. Rhea took a breath. She thought of her father's words, the last thing he told her before the end. If you can still laugh, you can still fight. She walked toward the rack. The demonstration was about to begin. First blood. The metal restraints closed around Rhea's wrists with a sound like breaking bones. She did not flinch. Cold steel wrapped her ankles next, then her waist, then her throat. Each clamp locked tight against her skin. The rack hummed beneath her spine. She could feel it vibrating, waiting, hungry. Above in the gallery, 43 alien cadets pressed against the glass. Rhea could hear their breathing, quick and shallow. Some were excited. Others were afraid. All of them were watching. Vorak stood beside the control pillar. His 4 thick fingers rested on a dial. His colorless eyes studied her face like she was a puzzle he needed to solve. This session is mandatory viewing, he announced. His voice echoed through the chamber. You will learn what happens when someone believes they are above discipline. A purple-skinned cadet in the front row raised a tentacle. Instructor, what did she do? Vorax's eyes never left Rhea. She exists. Silence dropped like a stone. Rhea understood now. This was not about punishment. This was about fear. Vorax wanted to show the others what humans could endure. He wanted to break her in front of everyone. He wanted them to see that even a Death Worlder could be destroyed. Any final words, human? Vorax asked. Rhea turned her head as much as the neck clamp allowed. Sweat already beaded on her temples. Yeah, try not to disappoint me. Several cadets gasped. One dropped their data pad. Vorax's throat frill flared wide. Red veins pulsed beneath gray skin. Bold words from someone who cannot move. Bold words from someone who's been in worse, Rhea said. We shall see. Vorax turned the dial. Just a fraction. Just enough. The rack screamed to life. Pain exploded through Rhea's body like lightning striking water. Every nerve caught fire at once. Her muscles locked. Her spine arched against the restraints. Her vision went white at the edges. And then it got worse. The gravity field activated. Invisible weight crushed down on her chest. Her ribs bent inward. Her lungs could not expand. The air in her throat turned solid. She tried to breathe and got nothing. This was how drowning felt, except worse, because she could not even thrash. 10 seconds passed, 20, 30. Her chest burned. Her head pounded. Dark spots bloomed across her vision. The pain was everywhere and nowhere. It was everything. In the gallery, a crystalline cadet leaned toward their neighbor. How long before unconsciousness? 40 seconds for most species, someone answered. 35 for humans, according to the database. 35 seconds. Rhea's mind grabbed that number, held it tight. She had been underwater longer than 35 seconds. Back on Earth. Back when the coastal cities flooded. She had been trapped under debris for 42 seconds before her father pulled her out. She had survived 42 seconds then. She would survive more than 35 now. At 38 seconds, the pressure released. Air rushed into her lungs like a knife. She gasped, coughed, tasted blood in her mouth. Adequate, Vorak said. Let us increase intensity. He turned the dial again. Farther this time. The electricity came back, stronger. It crawled through her veins like broken glass. Every muscle in her body tried to tear itself apart. Her teeth clenched so hard she heard them crack. Her hands curled into claws against the restraints. Pain was not the right word for this. Pain was stubbing a toe. Pain was a headache. This was something else. This was her body being unmade one cell at a time. And then a memory surfaced. She was 7 years old. The sky above her city had turned red. Not sunset red, blood red. The orbital strikes had started without warning. Buildings fell like houses of cards. Streets split open. Her father grabbed her hand and ran. They did not make it far. A shockwave threw them into a collapsing stairwell. Concrete rained down. Darkness swallowed everything. She could not see, could not breathe, could not move. Her father's voice found her through the dust. Rhea, listen to me. If you can still laugh, you can still fight. I can't, she had whispered. Yes, you can. Laugh for me. Right now. Laugh. She thought he was crazy. There was nothing funny about dying under a building. But she tried. She forced air through her throat and made a sound. A weak, broken sound. Half laugh, half sob. Again, her father said. Louder. She did. And somehow it helped. The fear became smaller. The darkness became less dark. They dug themselves out 3 hours later. Both alive. Both laughing like idiots, covered in dust and blood. Her father died 6 weeks after that. A second strike took him while she was in an underground shelter. But his words remained. If you can still laugh, you can still fight. The electricity surged again. Ria's vision tunneled. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. The pain had gone beyond sensation. It was just white noise now, static filling her skull. And in that static, she found it. The same feeling from the stairwell. The same absurd, impossible defiance. Her lips moved. Her throat opened. She laughed. It was not loud. Not even close. It was barely a whisper. A weak, breathy sound that should have been lost in the humming of the machine. But the chamber's amplifiers caught it. They caught every breath, every sound. They caught her laughter and threw it against the walls. The gallery went silent. Did she just... A cadet's voice cracked. Did she laugh? Impossible, another said. The readings show extreme distress, neural activity at critical levels. Then why is she laughing? Vorax's hand froze on the dial. His eyes widened a fraction, just enough to show surprise, just enough to show doubt. Ria pulled in another breath. Her lungs screamed in protest. She exhaled with a shaky giggle. That all you got? The gallery erupted in chaos. She is insane, someone hissed. Humans are insane. My people only laugh before eating prey. A insectoid cadet clicked frantically. Is she hunting? Can she hunt from there? She cannot even move. Then why does she sound like a predator? Vorax's frill darkened from red to deep purple. His fingers tightened on the dial. Silence! His voice cracked like a whip. The gallery fell quiet. He turned back to Ria. You think this is amusing, human? Ria's head lolled to the side. Sweat poured down her face. Her muscles twitched from the electricity, but her eyes stayed sharp, focused, alive. I think, she said slowly, each word costing her. You promised me something terrifying. This feels like a warm-up. 3 cadets in the back row fainted. Vorax's hand slammed down on the console. You want terrifying? I will show you terrifying. He grabbed the dial with both hands and turned it. Hard, fast. The machine roared. The lights in the chamber flickered. The pain that hit Ria was beyond description. It was not fire or ice or breaking. It was existence being ripped away. It was her soul being torn out through her skin. She could not see, could not hear, could not think. Somewhere far away, alarms started blaring. A mechanical voice spoke. Warning, output at 90% capacity, lethal threshold approaching for human physiology. In the gallery, a senior medical officer stood. Vorax, terminate immediately. But Vorax did not stop. He watched the human on his rack, watched her body convulse, watched her fight against restraints that could hold a combat mech. And then he heard it again. Laughter. Broken. Raw. Desperate. But laughter. Ria's vision cleared just enough to see Vorax's face, and for the first time since entering the chamber, she saw something new in his colorless eyes. Fear. Her lips cracked into a bloody smile. My turn yet? Her heart stopped, flatlined. The medical monitors screamed, and after 3 impossible seconds, it started again. Breaking point. The medical monitor's flatline turned back into a heartbeat. Beep, beep, beep. Impossible. But there it was, steady, strong, defiant. In the gallery, a healer with 6 eyes stared at the readings. That should not be possible. Her heart stopped for 3 full seconds. Human biology, another whispered. We don't have complete data on them. We need complete data now, the healer snapped, before Vorax kills her. But Vorax was not listening. He stood frozen at the control pillar. His gray skin had gone pale. His breath came in shallow gasps. He had seen soldiers die on battlefields. He had seen ships explode in the void. He had seen things that would break most minds, but he had never seen someone's heart stop and then choose to start again. Instructor? A cadet's voice trembled through the intercom. Should we call medical emergency? Vorax's jaw tightened. His pride wrestled with his shock. Pride won. No, she is fine. Look at her. Every eye turned to Rhea. She was not fine. Her skin was gray. Blood dripped from her nose. Her muscles twitched randomly from nerve damage. The restraints were the only thing keeping her body together. But her eyes were wide open, clear, burning with something that looked disturbingly like joy. 85%, she rasped. Her voice was shredded but steady. You hit me with 85% and I'm still here. She coughed. Blood spattered on the metal beneath her. Want to know what happens at 100? You die, Vorax said flatly. Maybe. Rhea's smile widened. It was not a sane smile. It was the smile of someone who had already died once and found it boring. Or maybe you find out why my species calls this Tuesday. A four-armed cadet in the third row turned to his neighbor. What is Tuesday? I do not know, but I do not wish to learn. Vorax's frill flared again. Red veins pulsed with anger. Or was it fear? Even he was not sure anymore. You think you are special, human? You think your death world survival makes you superior? No, Rhea said. Her breathing was ragged, but her words were clear. I think you made a mistake. What mistake? You thought this was about me. She jerked her chin toward the gallery. The movement made her neck restraint dig deeper into her skin. Fresh blood welled up. She did not seem to notice. This was never about me. This is about them. You wanted to scare them. Show them what happens when someone defies you. Vorax said nothing. His silence was an admission. But you picked wrong, Rhea continued. You should have picked someone weak, someone who would scream and beg and break. That would have scared them. Her eyes locked onto his. Instead, you picked a human, and now they're learning something different. And what is that? That you're afraid of me. The gallery exploded in whispers. Scales rattled. Fur bristled. Plates clicked together nervously. Silence! Vorax roared. The chamber went quiet again. He leaned toward Rhea. His voice dropped low. Dangerous. I fear nothing. Especially not a broken little girl strapped to my machine. Then why are your hands shaking? Vorax looked down. His fingers trembled against the control pillar. Just slightly. Just enough. He curled them into fists and hid them behind his back. Too late. Everyone had seen. A reptilian cadet in the front row leaned to her partner. Did you see that? The instructor is... Do not say it, her partner hissed. Do not even think it. But the thought was already spreading through the gallery like fire. The great instructor, Vorax, veteran of the Rim Wars, survivor of the Kelton massacre, breaker of 600 cadets, was shaking because of one human girl. Vorax felt control slipping from his grasp. This was not how this was supposed to go. She should be unconscious by now. She should be broken. She should be proof that even Death Worlders had limits. Instead, she was proof of the opposite. He needed to end this. Now. On his terms. You want 100%? Vorax's hand moved back to the dial. You want to see what happens when I stop holding back? I want, Rhea said slowly, to see if your machine can survive it. That stopped him. What? Your rack. It's rated for 85% continuous output, right? That's why the alarms went off. You're already pushing it past safe limits. Rhea's smile turned cold. So go ahead. Turn it to 100. See what breaks first. Me or your toy? Vorax checked the console. His blood went cold. She was right. The machine's internal temperature was climbing. Coolant systems were working overtime. Another 10% increase and the rack might overload. She had been paying attention. Even through the pain, even through cardiac arrest, she had been analyzing, learning, planning. You are bluffing, Vorax said. Am I? Rhea's laugh was raw and terrible. Only one way to find out, instructor. Push the dial. Max it out. Let's see what happens. For 10 long seconds, no one moved. No one breathed. The entire chamber held its breath. Vorax's hand hovered over the dial. His mind raced. If he backed down now, he would lose everything. His reputation, his authority, his power over the cadets. But if he pushed forward and the machine failed, if she survived 100%, he would lose more than reputation. He would lose the one thing that kept him in control. Their fear. A voice crackled over the intercom. Instructor Vorax, this is Commander Thel. Terminate the session immediately. That's an order. Vorax's eyes widened. The commander was watching? How long had she been there? Commander, the human requires further. The human has endured enough. Release her, now. Vorax's frill darkened to almost black. Humiliation burned through his chest. But orders were orders. His hand moved to the release button. Then Rhea spoke, quiet, almost gentle. Before you do that, instructor, can I tell you a story? What? Vorax's hand froze. A story. From Earth. It will only take a minute. I think you need to hear it. Every instinct told Vorax to refuse, to end this, to reassert control. But something in her voice stopped him. Something knowing, something dangerous. Speak quickly, he growled. Rhea closed her eyes. When she spoke, her voice changed. It became softer, sadder, older than her 20 years. When I was 7, my city burned. Orbital strikes from a war we did not start. The sky turned red. Buildings fell. My father and I got trapped in a stairwell, buried under concrete. No light, no air, just dust and darkness and death pressing down. The gallery leaned forward. Even Vorax found himself listening. I could not breathe, could not move. I was sure I was going to die, and I was so scared. Rhea's voice cracked. But my father, he was calm. He told me something I will never forget. What did he tell you? Vorax asked despite himself. Rhea's eyes opened. They were wet with tears, but they were not weak. They burned like stars. If you can still laugh, you can still fight. The moment they take your laugh, they take everything. So I laughed. Buried under a building. Dying, I laughed. And it helped. It made the darkness smaller. It made death less scary. She paused. We dug ourselves out 3 hours later. We survived. A touching story, Vorax said coldly, but irrelevant. Is it? Rhea's smile returned. My father died 6 weeks later. Another strike. I was not there. I could not save him. I could not fight. I could not laugh him back to life. Her voice hardened, sharpened, became something cutting. So I promised myself something. Every time someone tries to break me, every time someone tries to take my laughter, every time someone pushes me into darkness. She locked eyes with Vorax. I laugh louder. I fight harder. I survive longer. Not because I'm strong, but because I refuse to let them win. I refuse to let anyone take what my father gave me. She took a breath. Blood bubbled on her lips. You want to break me, instructor? You would need more than electricity and pain. You would need to kill me, and maybe not even then. The chamber was silent, absolutely silent. Somewhere in that silence, something shifted. The cadets in the gallery were no longer watching a discipline session. They were watching something else, something primal, something that reminded them why humans called their world a death world. Not because it was strong, but because it refused to die. Vorax stared at the human strapped to his machine. He saw her broken body, her bleeding face, her twitching muscles. He saw all the damage he had done, and he saw zero submission. His hand moved to the release button, but before he could press it, Rhea spoke one more time. Instructor Vorax, before you let me go, there's something you should know. What? Her smile spread wide, wild, victorious. I've been recording everything, every pain level, every system response, every weakness in your machine. She nodded toward the medical monitors. My neural implant stores biometric data, and it's been uploading to the Academy network this entire time. Vorax's blood turned to ice. What? So thank you. You just gave me a complete technical breakdown of your discipline rack. Output curves, coolant efficiency, structural limits, everything. Her laugh was soft but deadly. The next human who sits here, they'll know exactly how to survive it. They'll know it caps at 85% continuous. They'll know the emergency shutdown triggers at 3-second cardiac arrest. They'll know everything. She tilted her head. Blood ran down her temple. You did not break one human today, instructor. You armed every human who comes after me. We learn from pain. We grow from it. We weaponize it. Vorax's hand slammed down on the release button. The restraints opened. The electricity died. The gravity field collapsed. Rhea fell forward off the rack. Her legs could not hold her. She crumpled to the floor like a puppet with cut strings. Blood pooled beneath her. Her muscles spasmed. Her breathing came in wet, ragged gasps. But she did not scream. She laughed, lying broken on cold metal, surrounded by her own blood, her body destroyed, her heart restarted by will alone. She laughed. And in that moment, Instructor Vorax understood something terrible, something that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He had not been disciplining her. She had been studying him. He had not been the predator. She had. Medical teams rushed into the chamber. They loaded Rhea onto a stretcher. Her eyes stayed open the entire time, fixed on Vorax, smiling. As they carried her out, she raised one trembling hand and gave him a small wave, like they were old friends, like this was all just a game. The doors closed behind her. Vorax stood alone in the empty chamber. His machine hummed quietly, cooling down, recovering from the strain. In the gallery, 43 cadets stared at him. Their eyes were different now, less respectful, more calculating, like they were seeing him for the first time, like they were wondering what other weaknesses he had. Commander Thell's voice came through the intercom. Cold, final. Report to my office immediately, instructor. We need to discuss your methods. Vorax did not move, could not move. He stared at the spot where Rhea had lain, at the blood she left behind, at the empty restraints still swinging slightly from her departure. And for the first time in his 30-year career, Instructor Vorax felt something he thought he had forgotten. Fear. The reversal. 3 days passed before Rhea woke up. When her eyes opened, she was not in a hospital bed. She was in a private medical suite, the kind reserved for officers and visiting dignitaries. Soft lights glowed overhead. The walls were cream-colored instead of institutional gray. A window showed stars drifting past. Someone had decided she was important. Rhea tried to sit up. Her body screamed in protest. Every muscle felt like torn fabric. Her bones ached deep inside. Her skin was covered in sensors and healing patches that glowed soft blue. Do not move. A voice came from the corner. Calm, professional, female. Rhea turned her head slowly. A medic stood by a console. She was Valerian, tall and slender with silver skin and large dark eyes. Her fingers moved across holographic displays showing Rhea's vital signs. How bad? Rhea's voice came out as a rasp. You died, the medic said simply. Twice, actually. Once on the rack, once in transit. We brought you back both times. Sorry for the extra work. The medic's expression did not change. Your human sarcasm is noted. Your recovery is unprecedented. Most species would still be in coma. You have been awake for 16 seconds. Rhea looked at her hands. They were bandaged, trembling slightly, but they moved when she told them to. When can I leave? 4 weeks, minimum. I'll take 4 days. That is not medically advisable. Neither is torture, but here we are. Rhea shifted in the bed. Pain flared through her ribs. She ignored it. What happened after I left? With Vorax? The medic hesitated. Her fingers paused over the console. That information is classified, which means something happened. Which means I cannot tell you. Rhea smiled. It hurt her split lip, but she did it anyway. You already did. Thank you. Before the medic could respond, the door slid open. A figure stepped through, tall, 4 arms, wearing a commander's insignia on her uniform. Her scales were deep blue with gold markings. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent. Commander Thell. The medic straightened immediately. Commander, the patient just regained consciousness. She should not have visitors yet. I will only be a moment. Thel moved to the foot of Ria's bed. She studied the human girl with the intensity of a predator evaluating prey. Cadet Ria Calder, age 20, orphaned at age 7 during Earth's collapse. Survived 6 years in refugee camps before testing into the academy. Top marks in tactical analysis and hand-to-hand combat. Average marks in everything else. I'm bad at math, Ria said. You are bad at following orders, Thel corrected. Your file shows 42 minor infractions. Talking back to instructors, unauthorized access to restricted areas, fighting with other cadets. They started it. You finished it, every time. Thel's eyes narrowed. You have a problem with authority. Ria met her gaze without flinching. I have a problem with bullies. Instructor Vorax is not a bully. He is a decorated veteran. He's both. The room went silent. The medic looked nervous. Calling a superior officer a bully was grounds for expulsion, or worse. But Thel did not look angry. She looked curious. Explain. Ria shifted in the bed. Every movement cost her. He picked me for that demonstration, not because I broke rules, not because I needed discipline. He picked me because I'm human, because he wanted to see if a death worlder could be broken. She paused. And because he lost soldiers to humans once. This was personal. Thel's expression did not change. You researched him? I research everyone who might be a threat. Smart. Paranoid, but smart. Thel moved closer. What else did you learn about Vorax? He fought in the Rim Wars, lost his entire unit during the human defense of Colony 7. 43 soldiers dead. Only Vorax survived. Ria's voice softened. He blames humans for not evacuating the colony before the raiders came. He thinks we sacrificed his unit to save our civilians. That is classified information? It's in his body language, the way he looks at humans, the way his frill darkens when we speak. Ria coughed. Pain shot through her chest. I'm good at reading people. You learn that skill when you grow up watching for bombs. Thel was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled a small device from her belt. She pressed a button. A holographic display appeared above Ria's bed. It showed the discipline chamber, the rack, the gallery full of cadets, and Ria, laughing through the pain. This recording has been viewed 8,000 times in the last 3 days, Thel said, by cadets, by instructors, by command staff. Do you know what they see when they watch it? Me being tortured? No. They see Instructor Vorax losing control. They see him pushing his machine past safe limits. They see him ignoring direct orders to stop. Thel's voice was cold. They see him fail. Ria said nothing. She waited. She had learned patience in the refugee camps. Sometimes silence was more powerful than words. Vorax has been suspended, Thel continued, pending a formal inquiry. His teaching credentials are under review. His military honors may be revoked. She paused. Because of you. Because of his choices, Ria corrected. You provoked him. He tortured me. You laughed at him. Because that's what my father taught me. Ria's hands curled into fists beneath the blankets. You want to blame me? Fine. But that recording shows the truth. He did not discipline me. He tried to break me. There is a difference. Thel studied her for another long moment. Then she did something unexpected. She smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible, but it was there. You are correct, Thel said. There is a difference, and that difference matters. She closed the holographic display. Which brings me to why I am here. You have 3 options, Cadet Ria. Options? Option 1. You file a formal complaint against Vorax, testify at his hearing, help us remove him from the academy permanently. Ria's eyebrows rose. You want me to end his career? I want justice. If you testify, he will be dismissed, possibly court-martialed. And option 2? You say nothing, accept a medical discharge, return to Earth with full honors and a settlement large enough to live comfortably for life. Vorax keeps his position. Everything continues as before. You want to bribe me into silence. I want to give you an exit. What happened to you was wrong. No one would blame you for leaving? Ria's jaw tightened. What's option 3? Thel's smile widened, just slightly. Option 3 is more interesting. You stay, you recover, you continue your training, but not under Vorax, under me. The medic gasped. Ria's eyes widened. You want to train me? I want to see what you become. You survived something that should have killed you. You turned torture into tactical analysis. You weaponized your own suffering. Thel leaned closer. That is not normal, even for humans. That is something special, something rare. And I do not waste rare things. Ria's mind raced. This was not what she expected. She thought she would be blamed, punished, expelled. Instead, she was being offered, what? Advancement? Recognition? A chance to train under one of the Academy's most respected commanders? What about Vorak? Ria asked. If I stay, what happens to him? That depends on you. If you testify, he falls. If you remain silent, he likely keeps his position with reduced authority. If you choose option 2 and leave, Thel shrugged, then his fate will be decided by politicians and bureaucrats. Neither of us wants that. Ria closed her eyes. 3 options, 3 futures, 3 different paths. Behind her eyelids, she saw her father's face, dust-covered, blood-streaked, smiling even as the building collapsed around them. If you can still laugh, you can still fight. She opened her eyes. I want option 4. Thel's smile vanished. There is no option 4. There is now. Ria pushed herself up in the bed. Pain screamed through her body. The medic rushed forward, but Ria waved her off. She needed to sit up for this, needed to be upright. I will stay, I will train under you, but I will not testify against Vorax. Why not? Thel's voice was sharp. He tortured you, and I learned from it. He gave me data, strategy, knowledge about his machine and his weaknesses. Ria's eyes hardened. But more than that, I understand him now. He is broken, like me. The war broke him. Loss broke him. And instead of healing, he turned his pain into cruelty. That does not excuse what he did. I am not excusing it. I am explaining it. Ria took a breath. If you remove him, you remove the symptom. But the problem stays. Other instructors like him will still be here. Still using fear. Still believing that breaking cadets makes them stronger. So what do you propose? Let him stay, but make him watch. Ria's smile turned sharp. Make him watch me become the soldier he could not break. Make him teach other cadets while knowing that his greatest failure is walking the same halls. Make him face the fact that his methods do not work. Not on humans. Not on anyone who refuses to submit. The room was silent except for the quiet beeping of medical monitors. Thel stared at the human girl. Broken body, bandaged hands, eyes burning with quiet fire. This was not mercy. This was something else. Something crueler. Something very, very human. You want him to suffer, Thel said quietly. I want him to learn. Ria's voice was soft but firm. Pain without growth is just cruelty. But pain with purpose? That is education. Let him watch me grow. Let that be his punishment. Thel was quiet for a long time. Then she reached out one of her 4 hands. You are either wise beyond your years or dangerously vindictive. I have not decided which. Ria took her hand. The grip was weak but steady. Can it be both? Thel laughed. A short, sharp sound. Yes, I suppose it can. She released Ria's hand and stepped back. Very well. Option 4 it is. You stay. You train under me. And Vorax remains as instructor, with reduced authority and mandatory counseling. Thank you, Commander. Do not thank me yet. My training will make Vorax's rack look gentle. Thel turned toward the door, then paused. One more thing. Your neural implant data. The recording you made of the torture session. Ria's expression went neutral. What about it? Delete it. No. Thel turned back. That is an order. I cannot delete it. It is already backed up in 17 different locations across the Academy network. Some I control, some I do not. Ria's smile was innocent, too innocent. It seems other cadets copied it before I could secure it. These things happen with shared networks. Thel stared at her. Then she laughed again. Longer this time. You released it deliberately. I would never violate data security protocols, Commander. Of course not. How foolish of me. Thel shook her head. You are going to be either the best soldier this academy ever produced or its greatest disaster. Possibly both. I will settle for both. I am sure you will. Thel opened the door. Rest, cadet. You have 4 days to recover, then your real training begins. The door slid shut. Rhea was alone with the medic again. The Valerian medic stared at her. You just manipulated a commander into giving you exactly what you wanted. I just negotiated a better outcome for everyone. You released classified torture data across the Academy network. I would never do such a thing. Rhea laid back down. Every muscle in her body was screaming, but inside she felt light, strong, victorious. These things spread on their own sometimes. The medic shook her head. Humans, you are all insane. We prefer creatively resilient. Rhea closed her eyes. Wake me if anything interesting happens. You were tortured 3 days ago. Everything is interesting. Then wake me if anything more interesting happens. The medic muttered something in her native language. It did not sound complimentary, but Rhea was already drifting. Her body needed rest, needed healing, needed time to rebuild what Vorax had broken. But her mind was clear, sharp, planning, because somewhere in the academy, Vorax was sitting in his quarters, suspended, humiliated, defeated, waiting to learn his fate. And when he learned that she had convinced Thel to keep him, when he realized that his punishment was to watch her succeed, when he understood that she had turned his cruelty into her greatest weapon, that would be the moment he truly understood. Humans did not break. They broke everything else. Meanwhile, in Commander Thel's office, she pulled up Rhea's full file, the classified sections, the parts most instructors never saw. There were notes from the refugee camps, psychological evaluations, trauma assessments. One line was highlighted in red. Subject displays extreme survivor adaptability, converts negative experiences into tactical advantages. Recommendation, monitor closely, potential for exceptional service or catastrophic instability. Thel read the line 3 times. Then she looked at the recording of Rhea laughing on the torture rack. Exceptional service or catastrophic instability, she murmured. Let us hope for the first, but prepare for the second. She closed the file. Her 4 hands moved across the console, making notes, updating training schedules, requesting specialized equipment. If she was going to train the human girl, she would need to be ready, because something told her that Rhea Calder was not just a survivor. She was a weapon that had just learned how to aim. Aftermath. 4 days became 4 hours. Rhea was eating her first solid meal when the alarm started. Not the soft chimes of shift changes, not the pleasant tones of meal times. These were combat alarms. Deep, urgent, terrifying. The medical suite's lights switched to red. Her door unlocked automatically. Emergency protocol. The Valerian medic ran in, her silver skin flushed with panic. Get up! Now! What's happening? Rhea pushed the food tray aside. Her body was still broken, still healing, but adrenaline was already flooding her system. Training Deck 7, there's been an incident. The medic pulled the medical sensors from Rhea's skin. Multiple casualties. They are calling all available personnel. I'm not available. I can barely walk. Tell that to Commander Thel. She specifically requested you. The medic handed Rhea a uniform, fresh, clean. Her name already printed on the chest. She said, and I quote, "If the human can laugh through torture, she can limp to a training deck." Rhea smiled despite the pain. I like her already. 3 minutes later, Rhea was in the corridor. Every step sent fire through her legs. Her ribs screamed with each breath, but she moved, 1 foot in front of the other, refusing to stop. Other cadets ran past her, medics with equipment, security teams with weapons drawn. No one looked at her twice. In a crisis, everyone was too busy to notice one limping human. She reached Training Deck 7 to find chaos. The main doors had been blown off their hinges. Smoke poured into the corridor. Inside, emergency lights flickered across a scene from a nightmare. Equipment was destroyed. Walls were scorched. And in the center of the room lay 3 cadets. Not moving. Medics swarmed around them. Commander Thel stood nearby, her forearms crossed. Her expression was carved from stone. Rhea limped through the smoke. "Commander, you called?" Thel turned. Her eyes swept over Rhea's bandaged form. "You look terrible. You should see the other guy." "I am seeing them." Thel gestured to the fallen cadets. Two Krellians, one Valerian, all experienced in combat protocols, all currently unconscious. "What happened?" "Training exercise, live ammunition. Something went wrong." Thel's voice was flat, too flat, like she was holding back emotion through sheer will. The scenario was simple. Clear a hostile room, extract a target, standard procedure. Then why are they on the ground? Because the hostile was Instructor Vorax. Rhea's blood went cold. What? He volunteered to play the enemy combatant. He was supposed to use stun rounds, non-lethal force. Thel's jaw tightened. He used live ammunition, full power. All three cadets were hit before they could react. He tried to kill them. He succeeded. Clinically. They were dead for 90 seconds each. We revived them. Thel's eyes burned with controlled fury. This happened 15 minutes after his suspension was officially lifted. 15 minutes after I reduced his authority and assigned him to supervised training only. Rhea looked at the fallen cadets. Medics were loading them onto stretchers. Their scales and skin were burned. Their breathing was shallow. They looked like Rhea had looked 3 days ago. Broken. "Where is he now?" Rhea asked quietly. "Confined to his quarters, under guard, awaiting formal charges." Thel stepped closer. "I was wrong, Cadet. You were wrong. We both thought he could be redeemed. We thought facing his failure would teach him." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "We were foolish." Rhea stared at the smoke, at the destruction, at the blood on the floor. "Permission to speak freely, Commander?" "Granted. I want to see him." Thel's eyes widened. "Absolutely not. I need to understand why." "Why? He is broken, dangerous. There is no understanding to be found." "There is always understanding." Rhea turned to face Thel fully. "You said I turned torture into tactical analysis. You said I weaponized my suffering. Let me analyze this. Let me understand what makes someone go from instructor to attempted murderer in 4 days. This is not a tactical exercise. This is not data to collect." Thel's voice rose slightly. "This is a man who has proven he cannot be trusted, cannot be saved, cannot be anything except removed." "Then let me confirm that." Rhea's voice was steady. "Let me look him in the eye and see if there is anything left worth saving. If there is not, then I will testify. I will help you end him, but I need to see for myself." Thel was silent. Around them, medics finished securing the wounded. Equipment hummed. Smoke slowly cleared. But between the commander and the cadet, time seemed frozen. Finally, Thel spoke. 5 minutes, under guard. If he makes any threatening move, security will stun him unconscious." "Understood. And Cadet?" Thel's voice softened, just barely. "If you are wrong about him, if there is nothing left to save, do not blame yourself. Some people are too broken to fix." Rhea nodded. "I know. I have seen plenty of those on Earth." Vorax's quarters were small, efficient, military precise. No decorations, no personal items, just a bed, a desk, and a single chair. The room of someone who had forgotten how to live outside duty. He sat on the bed when Rhea entered. His gray skin looked ashen. His colorless eyes were sunken. His throat frill hung limp against his neck. He looked smaller somehow, like the last 4 days had carved something out of him. 2 guards stood by the door. Their weapons were drawn but lowered, watching, waiting. Rhea limped to the desk and leaned against it. Standing was hard, but sitting would make her vulnerable. Old habits from Earth. Never sit in a room with someone who might want to hurt you. "They sent you," Vorax said. His voice was empty, hollow. "The human I tried to break. They sent you to witness my fall. No one sent me. I asked to come. Why?" "To understand," Vorax laughed. It was a bitter sound. Nothing like Rhea's defiant laughter on the rack. This was the sound of something dying. "Understand what? That I am a monster? That I should be removed? You already know that. Everyone knows that." I know you hurt 3 cadets today. I know you used live ammunition in a training scenario. I know you almost killed them. Ria's voice was calm, even. What I do not know is why. Does it matter? Yes. Why? Because 4 days ago, I convinced Commander Thel to let you stay. I told her you could learn. I told her watching me succeed would teach you something. Ria's eyes hardened. I need to know if I was right, or if I just gave you more chances to hurt people. Vorax looked up. For the first time, there was something in his eyes besides emptiness. Surprise, maybe, or confusion. You did what? I asked them to keep you, to let you watch, to let you see that your methods do not work. Ria pushed off the desk, took a step closer. Pain shot through her leg, but she ignored it. I thought you could grow. I thought pain with purpose could be education. You were wrong. Was I? Look at what I did. Vorax stood suddenly, the guards tensed. Hands tightened on weapons. But Vorax did not move toward Ria. He just stood there, trembling. I nearly killed 3 cadets. Children, barely older than you. I aimed at their centers of mass and fired. I watched them fall. I felt nothing. Felt nothing? Or felt too much? Vorax froze. What? You felt nothing when you shot them? Or you felt so much that you had to pretend you felt nothing? Ria tilted her head. There is a difference. You think you understand me? Vorax's frill flared slightly. Red veins pulsed. You think surviving my rack makes you an expert on my mind? No. Surviving Earth makes me an expert on broken people. Ria's voice softened. I have seen people like you before, instructor. People who lost everything, who survived when others did not, who carried guilt so heavy it crushed them from inside. You know nothing about guilt. I watched my city burn. I watched my father die. I survived 6 years in refugee camps where people killed each other over food and water. Ria's hands curled into fists. I know plenty about guilt, about wondering why I lived when others died, about anger so deep it feels like drowning. Vorax said nothing. His frills slowly lowered. You lost your unit, Ria continued. 43 soldiers. Dead because humans would not evacuate Colony 7 in time. You survived. You carry their names, their faces. You see them every time you close your eyes. Stop! And when you saw me on that rack, you did not see a cadet. You saw the humans who let your soldiers die. You saw a chance to make someone hurt the way you hurt. You saw revenge. I said stop! Vorax's voice cracked. The guards stepped forward, but Ria held up a hand. They paused. But revenge did not help, Ria said quietly. You broke me and I laughed. You tortured me and I survived. You tried to prove humans could be defeated and instead proved we could not. She took another step closer. So you got suspended, humiliated, and then you learned I asked them to keep you, that I wanted you to watch me grow, that I turned your cruelty into my power. Vorax sank back onto the bed. His head dropped into his hands. So you came here to gloat, to watch me break? No, I came to ask you a question. What question? Do you want to live? Vorax looked up. Confusion crossed his face. What? Do you want to live? Not survive, not exist. Live. Wake up without seeing their faces. Sleep without hearing their screams. Teach without trying to hurt. Breathe without pain. Ria's voice was gentle now, almost kind. Do you want to live again? Or are you already dead inside and just waiting for your body to catch up? The room went silent. The guards watched, waiting for violence, but there was no violence. Just 2 people, both broken, both survivors, both standing at crossroads. I do not know, Vorax finally whispered. I have not known for years. Then figure it out, fast. Ria straightened. Because you have a choice now. You can accept what they do to you. Court-martial, discharge, prison maybe. You can let guilt and anger destroy you completely. Die inside and out. Or you can fight. Not against cadets. Not against humans. Against yourself. Against the part of you that wants to hurt others because you hurt. Against the voice that says you deserve to suffer because your soldiers died. Ria's eyes burned. Fight to become better. Not for them. Not for me. For you. Vorax stared at her. Why do you care? I tortured you. I tried to break you. Why would you want me to heal? Because, Rhea smiled, sad but genuine. My father taught me that if you can still laugh, you can still fight. But he also taught me something else. Something I did not understand until now. What? That the strongest fight is not against enemies. It is against the darkness inside yourself. The voice that says you are not worth saving. That you do not deserve peace. That your pain defines you forever. Rhea's voice grew stronger. That voice is a liar, and fighting it is the bravest thing anyone can do. Tears ran down Vorax's gray face. He did not wipe them away. I do not know if I can. Neither did I, but I am still here. Still fighting. Still laughing when the darkness gets too loud. Rhea turned toward the door. So figure out if you want to live, instructor. Because if you do, I will testify at your hearing. Not to destroy you, but to tell them what I see. A soldier broken by war, drowning in guilt, lashing out because he does not know how to heal. They will not care. They will remove me anyway. Maybe. Probably. Rhea reached the door, paused, looked back. But maybe not, and maybe is enough to fight for. She limped out. The guards followed. The door sealed behind them. Vorax sat alone in his empty room, tears still falling, hands still shaking. But somewhere deep inside, beneath the guilt, beneath the anger, beneath the crushing weight of 43 names, something small flickered. Not hope, not yet, but possibility. The idea that maybe, just maybe, he did not have to die with his soldiers, that maybe he could live, and that maybe living was not betrayal, just survival. Outside the door, Commander Thel was waiting, her forearms crossed, her expression unreadable. Well, she asked. Rhea leaned against the wall. Her leg was shaking. Her ribs were on fire. She had pushed too hard, stood too long, but it was worth it. He is broken, Rhea said, but not beyond repair. You believe that? I have to. Otherwise, what was my pain for? What was his torture worth? If we cannot learn, cannot grow, cannot become better, Rhea looked at Thel, then we are just hurting each other forever, and I refuse to live in that galaxy. Thel studied her, then slowly nodded. You are wiser than your years, Cadet, or more naive. Time will tell which. Can it be both? With you? Probably. Thel gestured down the corridor. Come, you need medical attention. You should not have left the suite. You called me here. I called you to see if you could walk, not to play therapist to a broken instructor. But there was no anger in Thel's voice, just tired respect. You continue to surprise me, human. I will take that as a compliment. It was not meant as one. Surprises in military academies are usually bad. Then I will make sure mine are good surprises. See that you do. They walked slowly down the corridor. Around them, the academy was returning to normal. Alarms had stopped. Injured cadets were in medical care. Security stood down. Crisis contained. But something had changed. In the smoke-filled training deck, in Vorax's empty quarters, in the space between torture and healing, something had shifted. And across the academy, in barracks and classrooms and common areas, cadets whispered about the human who survived, about the instructor who fell, about what happened when Death World resilience met broken authority. They whispered, they wondered, they watched, and they waited to see what would happen next. Because the story was not over. It was just beginning. In his quarters, Vorax stood, walked to his desk, pulled out a datapad he had not touched in years. On the screen were 43 names, 43 faces, his unit, his soldiers, his dead. He had looked at this list every day for years. Let guilt crush him. Let pain define him. But now he did something different. He spoke to them, out loud, for the first time. I am sorry I could not save you. I am sorry I survived. I am sorry I let your deaths turn me into something cruel. His voice cracked. But I am going to try. To live. To heal. To become someone you would be proud of again. He closed the pad, Set it aside. Not deleting, not forgetting, just setting it down. Letting the weight rest somewhere besides his shoulders. Just for a moment. It was not much. Not healing. Not redemption. Not even close. But it was a start. And sometimes a start is enough. The lesson. The hearing chamber was built to intimidate. High ceilings, cold metal walls, a semicircular table where 7 judges sat elevated above the accused. Behind them, a gallery where hundreds could watch. Every surface was designed to make the person standing in the center feel small, powerless, judged. Instructor Vorax stood in that center now. His gray skin looked pale under the harsh lights. His military uniform was pristine, but his hands trembled slightly at his sides. He did not look at the gallery, did not look at the judges. He stared straight ahead at nothing. The chamber was packed, every seat filled. Cadets, instructors, officers, even civilians from nearby stations had come. Word had spread across 3 sectors about this hearing. The instructor who tortured a human, the human who survived, the 3 cadets who nearly died. Everyone wanted to see how it would end. Rhea sat in the front row of the gallery. Her body had healed enough to attend, barely. She wore her dress uniform, gray jacket with silver buttons. Her cadet insignia polished until it shone, her hair pulled back tight. She looked professional, composed, ready. But her hands gripped the armrests hard enough to turn her knuckles white. Beside her sat the 3 cadets Vorax had shot, 2 Krellians and 1 Valerian, all recovered, all scarred, all watching Vorax with expressions that mixed fear and hatred. "He tried to kill us," one of the Krellians whispered. His voice was rough, damaged from the breathing tube they had used to save him. "Why are we even having a hearing? Just remove him." "Justice requires process," the Valerian said quietly, but her silver hands were clenched tight. "Even for monsters." Rhea said nothing. She just watched, waited. The first witness would be called soon, and she knew who it would be. At the elevated table, the chief judge stood. She was Arctuvian, 8 feet tall with crystalline skin that refracted the light into rainbows. Her voice was deep and resonant. "This tribunal is now in session. We are here to determine the fate of Instructor Vorax, accused of gross misconduct, excessive force, and attempted murder of cadets under his supervision." The chamber went silent. Even breathing seemed too loud. "We will hear testimony from witnesses, review evidence, and render judgment based on Academy law and military code." The judge's crystalline eyes fixed on Vorax. "Instructor, do you understand the charges against you?" "I do." Vorax's voice was steady, empty, like he had already accepted his fate. "How do you plead?" "Guilty." The gallery erupted. Voices overlapped. Shock rippled through the crowd. Even the judges looked surprised. A guilty plea meant no trial, no defense, just sentencing. The chief judge raised one hand. Silence fell again. "You plead guilty to all charges?" "Yes." "Including attempted murder?" "Yes." "You understand that this plea will result in immediate discharge from the Academy? Revocation of all military honors? Possible imprisonment?" "I understand." Vorax's frill was completely flat against his neck. No color, no life. "I accept whatever judgment you deem appropriate." Rhea's grip on the armrest tightened. This was wrong. He was not supposed to just surrender. He was supposed to fight. She had told him to fight. The chief judge nodded slowly. "Very well. However, before sentencing, this tribunal has received a request to hear testimony from several witnesses. Despite your guilty plea, we will allow this testimony to provide context for sentencing." She gestured to the prosecution table. A slender officer stood. His scales were deep blue. His eyes were sharp. "The prosecution calls Cadet Rhea Calder to testify." The gallery exploded again. Whispers, gasps. Every eye turned to Rhea. The 3 injured cadets beside her looked shocked. "You are testifying for the prosecution?" the Krellian asked. "You are going to help them destroy him?" "Something like that," Rhea murmured. She stood slowly. Her legs shook slightly, but she hid it well. She walked down the steps to the center of the chamber. Now she stood where Vorax stood, under the harsh lights, surrounded by judges. With hundreds watching, she did not feel small. She felt large, powerful, like she was exactly where she needed to be. The prosecutor approached her. Cadet Rhea Calder, you are human, age 20. You were the subject of a discipline session conducted by instructor Vorax 4 weeks ago. Is that correct? Yes. And during that session, instructor Vorax subjected you to extreme pain, cardiac arrest, near-lethal electric shock. Is that correct? Yes. And you nearly died, multiple times. I did die, multiple times. They brought me back, the gallery murmured. The prosecutor nodded grimly. Can you describe for the tribunal what that experience was like? Rhea was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke. Her voice was clear, strong. It carried to every corner of the chamber. It was the worst pain I have ever felt, and I have felt a lot of pain. Orbital bombardments, building collapses, starvation. But what Vorax did to me, she paused. It was worse because it was deliberate. He looked me in the eye and chose to hurt me. Not to teach, not to discipline, but to break me. The prosecutor looked satisfied. And did he succeed? Did he break you? No. Why not? Because I am human, and humans do not break easily. A few cadets in the gallery laughed, nervous laughter, pride mixed with fear. The prosecutor smiled slightly. Indeed, and after this torture session, after nearly dying, after being broken physically, what did you do? I laughed. The prosecutor's smile widened. You laughed. Can you explain why? Because my father taught me that laughter is the last weapon they cannot take. As long as I can laugh, I can fight. As long as I can fight, I can win. Rhea looked directly at Vorax for the first time. So I laughed. To show him he did not win. To show him he could not win. The prosecutor nodded. And after you recovered, the academy offered you several options, including a settlement to leave quietly. But you chose to stay. Why? Because running away does not solve problems. And you requested that instructor Vorax remain at the academy, despite what he did to you. Why? This was the critical moment, the question everyone wanted answered. Why did the victim defend her torturer? Rhea took a breath. Because I thought he could learn. I thought watching me succeed would teach him that his methods were wrong. That cruelty does not create strength. That fear does not create respect. She paused. I was wrong. The gallery gasped. The prosecutor's eyes widened. Even the judges looked surprised. You were wrong? The prosecutor repeated. Yes, partially wrong. Rhea's voice hardened. I thought he could learn from watching, but watching was not enough. He needed to fall further, to hurt more people, to reach the absolute bottom before he could begin to climb back up. Are you saying his attack on 3 cadets was necessary? No, I am saying it was inevitable, because I gave him mercy when I should have given him accountability. I thought compassion would heal him, but he needed consequences first. He needed to face the full weight of what he had become. The prosecutor stepped closer. So you believe he should be punished? I believe he needs to be held responsible. Punishment and responsibility are not the same thing. Explain. Rhea turned to face the judges, all 7 of them. Their alien faces, their various expressions, some angry, some curious, all waiting for her to continue. Punishment is what you do to someone you want to hurt. Responsibility is what you give to someone you want to grow. Rhea's voice was steady. Instructor Vorax tortured me, shot 3 cadets, violated every code of conduct. He deserves punishment, discharge, prison, whatever this tribunal decides. She paused. The chamber held its breath. But punishment alone will not fix the problem. It will not prevent the next Vorax, the next broken instructor who turns pain into pedagogy, the next veteran who cannot separate war from teaching. Rhea's eyes swept the gallery. If you want to prevent that, you need to do more than remove him. You need to understand him, learn from him, use his failure to build better systems. The chief judge leaned forward. Her crystalline face caught the light. What are you proposing, Cadet? I propose, Rhea said slowly, that instructor Vorax be dishonorably discharged from teaching, stripped of his instructorship, banned from ever having authority over cadets again. The injured cadets in the gallery nodded. Justice, finally. But, Rhea continued, I also propose that he be required to serve 5 years in the Academy Counseling Department, not as a counselor, as a subject, a case study, a warning. The chamber exploded. Voices shouted, some in agreement, others in outrage. The chief judge slammed her hand on the table. Silence fell. Explain this proposal, the judge demanded. Instructor Vorax is not unique. There are others like him, veterans with trauma, instructors who confuse discipline with cruelty, leaders who never learn to separate their pain from their duty. Rhea's voice rose. Remove Vorax and another will take his place, but study him, understand him, learn what breaks a person so completely that they hurt others. Use that knowledge to identify others before they reach this point. Build systems to help them heal before they hurt cadets. She turned to Vorax. He was staring at her now. Tears ran down his gray face. And make Vorax face what he has become every day for 5 years. Make him sit in counseling sessions. Make him talk to the cadets he hurt. Make him watch recordings of his own cruelty. Make him understand the full weight of his actions. Not as punishment, as education. His education. The prosecutor looked uncertain. This is highly irregular. So is a human surviving his torture rack, Rhea smiled. It was not a kind smile. I am offering you a choice. You can remove one broken instructor and feel satisfied, or you can use his failure to prevent hundreds more, to build systems that catch trauma before it becomes cruelty, to create a better academy. The chief judge was quiet for a long time. Then she looked at Vorax. Instructor, you pled guilty. Do you accept this proposed alternative sentence? Vorax's voice was barely a whisper. Why? Why would she? After what I did? Answer the question, the judge said firmly. Vorax swallowed hard. I accept. If she believes I can be useful, if she thinks my failure can prevent others, then I accept. The chief judge nodded. She turned to the other 6 judges. They leaned together, whispered, debated. 5 long minutes passed. Finally, they straightened. The chief judge spoke. This tribunal has deliberated. We find Instructor Vorax guilty of all charges. The sentence is as follows. Immediate dishonorable discharge from instructorship. Permanent ban from positions of authority over cadets. 5 years of mandatory service in the counseling department as a case study for instructor trauma and rehabilitation. During this time, he will attend daily therapy, meet with victims willing to speak with him, and assist in developing new protocols for instructor mental health. She paused. Her crystalline eyes swept the chamber. This is not mercy. This is accountability. Instructor Vorax will spend 5 years facing what he has done, learning, growing, or failing completely. Either outcome will provide valuable data for the academy. Her gaze fixed on Vorax. Do you understand this sentence? I do. Do you accept it? I do. Then this tribunal is adjourned. Vorax, you will report to the counseling department tomorrow at 800 hours. Dismissed. The gavel fell. The sound echoed through the silent chamber. Then chaos erupted. Half the gallery cheered. The other half shouted in outrage. Cadets argued. Instructors debated. Security moved to restore order. But Rhea did not move. She stood in the center of the chamber, watching Vorax. He looked at her across the space between them. His eyes were still wet, still broken. But something had changed in them. Not hope, not yet. But something close. Understanding maybe, or gratitude, or the beginning of a very long journey. He mouthed 2 words. Thank you. Rhea nodded once, then turned and limped back to her seat. The 3 injured cadets stared at her. I do not understand, the Valerian said. He tried to kill us, and you saved him. I did not save him, Rhea said quietly. I gave him a chance to save himself. There is a difference. What if he fails? What if 5 years from now he is still broken, still dangerous? Then he fails. But at least we will have learned from his failure. We will have data, protocols, ways to help others before they become him. Rhea looked at the Valerian. Revenge feels good, but prevention saves lives. I prefer prevention. The Krellian shook his head. Humans, you are all insane. We prefer strategically compassionate. Rhea smiled. Also, yes, a little insane. 3 weeks later, Rhea stood outside Commander Thell's office. She had been summoned, again. She was getting used to these summons. They were less terrifying now than they had been. The door opened. Thell sat behind her desk, all four arms resting on the surface. Her expression was unreadable. Cadet Rhea, sit. Rhea sat. Her body had finally healed. Most of the scars were fading. She could walk without limping, run without pain, fight without remembering the rack, mostly. Your proposal at the hearing has caused ripples, Thell said. The counseling department is overwhelmed with instructors requesting trauma evaluations. 17 have admitted to carrying war trauma. 9 have requested therapy. 3 have resigned rather than face assessment. Is that good or bad? Both. We are losing instructors, but the ones who stay will be healthier, safer, better for cadets. Thell leaned forward. Your testimony has fundamentally changed how this academy handles instructor mental health. In 3 weeks, you have done what commanders have tried to do for decades. I just told the truth. You weaponized compassion. You turned mercy into strategy. You made rehabilitation into prevention. Thell's eyes narrowed. That is not just truth. That is leadership. Rhea said nothing. She had learned that sometimes silence was the best response. Which brings me to why you're here. Thell pulled up a holographic display. It showed Rhea's academy records, scores, evaluations, instructor notes, everything. Your tactical analysis scores have increased by 40%. Your leadership evaluations are the highest in your class. Other cadets are requesting to train with you. You have become influential. I just survived. You did more than survive. You thrived. You turned torture into power. You turned attempted murder into reform. You turned personal pain into systemic change. Thell closed the display. That is not survival. That is transformation. What are you saying, Commander? I am saying that in 6 months you will graduate, and when you do, you will be offered command track positions, leadership roles, positions of authority. Thell's voice grew serious. And I need to know if you are ready for that responsibility. Why would I not be? Because power changes people. And you already have more power than most cadets will ever have. The power of a compelling story, the power of visible survival, the power to influence how this academy operates. Thell stood, walked around the desk, leaned against it. That power can be used for good, or it can corrupt. Even the best intentions can twist into something dangerous. Rhea met her eyes. Are you warning me or testing me? Both. Then let me answer both. Rhea stood as well. I know what power looks like when it corrupts. I saw it on Earth. Leaders who used fear to control. Authorities who turned suffering into currency. People who convinced themselves that cruelty was necessary. Her voice hardened. I will not become that. Ever. How can you be sure? Because I remember what it feels like to be powerless, to be strapped to a rack, to have someone decide my pain was acceptable for their goals. Rhea's hands curled into fists. I will never make someone else feel that way. Not for any reason, not for any goal. That is my line, and I will not cross it. Thell studied her for a long moment, then she nodded slowly. Good, because in 6 months, you will graduate top of your class. You will be offered a position as junior tactical instructor, and you will accept it. Rhea blinked. That was not a question. No, it was an order. Thell smiled slightly. You wanted to change the system? You wanted to prevent more Voraxes? Then stay, teach. Show the next generation what strength actually looks like. Not cruelty, not fear, but resilience, compassion, strategic thinking. Rhea's mind raced. She had not thought beyond graduation, beyond survival, beyond the next day. I do not know if I am ready. You are not. But you will be. Thel placed one hand on Ria's shoulder. 6 months, cadet. Use them well. Learn everything you can. Because after that, you will be responsible for shaping the soldiers who come after you. And I expect you to shape them well. Yes, Commander. Dismissed. Ria walked to the door, paused, looked back. Commander, thank you for believing I could be more than broken. Thel's smile widened. You were never broken, cadet. You were being forged. There is a difference. 6 months later, Instructor Ria Calder stood in front of her first class. 42 cadets, 12 different species, all watching her with a mixture of awe and fear and curiosity. They knew who she was. Everyone knew. The human who laughed through torture, the cadet who reformed the academy, the survivor who became a teacher. Her legend had grown beyond truth. But that was okay. Legends could be useful. Welcome to Tactical Resilience, Ria said. Her voice was clear, confident, strong. This class is about survival. Not just physical survival, psychological survival, how to endure impossible situations, how to turn suffering into strength, how to laugh in the face of darkness. She smiled, the same smile she had given Vorax on the rack. Defiant, unbreakable, alive. I am not going to torture you. I am not going to break you. I am not going to use fear as a teaching tool. Her eyes swept the class. But I am going to push you, challenge you, force you to find the strength you do not know you have. A small reptilian cadet in the front row raised a hand. Instructor, is it true you died during training? Multiple times. It was educational. Laughter rippled through the class. But more importantly, I came back. Every time. And so can you. That is what this class teaches. How to come back. How to rebuild. How to become stronger than whatever tried to destroy you. She walked to the center of the room. This academy used to believe that strength came from breaking people. From discipline through pain. From fear and submission. She paused. I am here to prove that is wrong. True strength comes from resilience. From choosing to stand when you could fall. From laughing when darkness tells you to scream. The cadets leaned forward, listening, learning, believing. So here is my promise to you. I will be tough. I will be demanding. I will push you to your limits. Ria's smile widened. But I will never break you, because broken soldiers cannot fight. And I am here to train fighters, not victims. She clapped her hands once. Now, pair up. We start with basic resistance training. Let's see what you are made of. The cadets scrambled to pair up, excited, nervous, ready. And in the back of the room, watching through the observation window, stood Commander Thel and Instructor Vorax. Vorax looked different. His skin had more color, his eyes were clearer. He still carried scars, still struggled, still had years of therapy ahead. But he was trying, working, growing. She is remarkable, Vorax said quietly. She is dangerous, Thel corrected, in the best possible way. Do you think she will succeed, changing the academy? She already has. Look. Thel gestured to the cadets in the room. They see her and they see possibility. They see that survival is not just about strength. It is about will, about choice, about refusing to give up. She paused. That is a powerful lesson, one that will shape every soldier she teaches. Vorax nodded. I hope they learn it better than I did. You are learning now. That is what matters. Thel turned to him. Your session with the counselor is in 30 minutes. Do not be late. I will not be. Vorax took one last look at Ria, teaching, laughing, showing cadets a better way. Thank you for giving me this chance. Do not thank me. Thank her. Thel nodded toward Ria. She is the one who believed you were worth saving. They walked away together, leaving Ria to her class. And in that classroom, Ria taught, not with fear, not with pain, not with cruelty, but with the same lesson her father taught her in the darkness under a collapsed building. The same lesson that kept her alive through torture, the same lesson that would shape every soldier she trained. If you can still laugh, you can still fight. And if you can still fight, you can still win. It was a simple lesson, but it was enough. Because sometimes simple lessons are the ones that change everything.